Come with me as we watch a white girl get acclaim and awards for acting hood. 23-year-old intimate worker Honora Makiva, who goes by Annie, lives in Brooklyn, New York, and works at a club called HQ. One night, 21-year-old Ivan Zakharov, who's from Russia, comes into the club and asks for a girl who speaks Russian, prompting Annie's boss, Jimmy, to introduce Annie to him. Immensely satisfied with Annie's protein eating, he gets her number and contacts her for multiple encounters. After Ivan and Annie's bonking at the Zakharovs' Brooklyn mansion, Ivan shares that his father is Nikolai Zakharov, a wealthy Russian oligarch. Annie tells her co-sex worker and friend Lulu about Ivan, which her jealous rival, Diamond, overhears. Ivan invites Annie to his New Year's party and allows her to bring Lulu, whom he then meets. The next day, Ivan asks Annie to be exclusive with him and be his raunchy girlfriend for a week. When Ivan agrees with Annie's $15,000 cash upfront demand, she immediately takes a week off work. She tells her boss that since he don't offer no benefits or a 401k, she can do whatever she wants. Ivan flies with Annie and his friends to Vegas and stays with them at the hotel casino he frequents. They party, drink, swim, gamble, and take more drugs. The following night, a very satisfied Ivan tells Annie that he thinks he loves her. Although they want to spend more time together, Ivan reveals that he needs to return to Russia because he promised Nikolai he'd return to work for his company. Annie says she will miss him, and they laugh when she says she'll miss his money too. Where's the lie, though? Thinking that he wouldn't have to return to Russia if he marries an American and gets a green card, Ivan asks Annie to marry him. He convinces her that his love for her is genuine, and the skeptical Annie finally agrees and demands a 3-carat ring, to which he offers 4 to 6 carats because she bugs Bunny. Ivan and Annie soon happily get married at the Little White Chapel. Annie quits her job at HQ, and everyone is happy for her, except for Diamond, who bets that their marriage will only last 2 weeks. Diamond looks like she got her boobs done on care credit. Ivan buys Annie a beautiful 4-carat ring and new clothes. Annie moves into the Zakharovs' mansion, where they start enjoying their new life together as husband and wife. News about the wedding spread in Russia, prompting Ivan's mother, Galina, to call Ivan's Armenian godfather, Toros, who's in the US, to check on him. Although Toros thinks it's just a rumor since he was with the unmarried Ivan 2 weeks ago, and since he can't leave because he's at a baptism ceremony with his family, Toros orders his brother Garnik and a Russian man named Igor to check on Ivan. Meanwhile, Ivan declines the calls he's receiving, and Annie hopes that his family will like her. On their way to the mansion, Garnik shares with Igor that there's talk about Ivan's girl being an OnlyFans worker, but Igor thinks it's just rumors. Garnik hopes that it isn't true, because if it is, he and Toros will be in trouble. When Garnik and Igor arrive at the mansion, Ivan tries his best to stop them from entering, prompting a scared Annie to ask if she should call 911. When Garnik asks if it's true that he married a prostitute, Ivan doesn't answer and gestures to Annie, who is taken aback, to ignore what he said. Seeing Annie, Garnik asks if he's married to her and even confirms that he is and says that they're doing great. Garnik asks to see their marriage license for proof, and Ivan goes to the home office to give it to him. Meanwhile, Igor, who's left with Annie, introduces himself to her and congratulates her on their wedding. Igor looking sussy as hell. When Toros receives the marriage license photos from Garnik, Toros lets out a faint, horrified "No!" Much to his family's disappointment, he abruptly leaves the baptism ceremony to call Galina and confirm the rumor, making Galina scream and cry. After promising Galina to fix it, Toros drives to the mansion while reprimanding Ivan on the phone for the embarrassment he has caused the family. Annie then gets mad when Toros calls her a prostitute and a whore, even though it's a literal fact or used to be. Toros informs Ivan that his parents are leaving Russia in an hour and are flying in to drag him home, and they're going to meet them at noon the next day. After Toros says he's going to take them both to City Hall to annul the marriage, Annie engages in a verbal fight with him. Refusing to return to Russia, Ivan urges Annie to flee with him. However, when Annie, who's in her underwear, insists on putting on pants first, Ivan says, "Bye, Felicia," and flees by himself, leaving her appalled. Annie fights Igor, who's calmly and respectfully stopping her from leaving. When she starts throwing stuff at him and bites him, attempts to run away, destroys furniture, and breaks Garnik's nose, he ties her up. Toros is shocked upon seeing the mess in the mansion and is stressed out when he learns that Ivan has fled. Toros orders the men to untie Annie, but both of them oppose, saying she'll injure him too. Toros apologizes to Annie for what happened and tries to call Ivan using his and Annie's phone, but he doesn't answer. Annie refuses to get the marriage annulled, saying they're consenting adults and they're in love. But Toros tells her that Ivan always does stuff that infuriates his parents, and he's been dealing with his shenanigans since he was 6 years old. He adds that Ivan is extremely immature and a spoiled brat, that everything Ivan has belongs to his father, and that if she's pregnant, they'll have to do what Republicans do to babies in secret. He threatens to have her arrested if she doesn't cooperate. And when Annie says Ivan proposed to her, Toros confiscates the ring since it's the Zakharovs' property. Annie screams that someone has forced himself on her. Fearing someone will hear her and call the police, Toros attempts to cover her mouth, but she bites his hand. Left with no choice, they gag her with a scarf. While Toros contacts Nikolai's legal team to have the marriage annulled the next day, Igor assures Annie that everything will be okay. Toros urges Annie to cooperate. He says since their marriage seems to be a green card marriage, Ivan owes her a green card marriage fee, so he'll make sure that she gets a $10,000 fee in cash after their marriage gets annulled, and she should never contact Ivan again after. Annie says she wants to talk to Ivan before agreeing to anything and agrees to help them find Ivan. Toros, Garnik, Igor, and Annie drive around New York looking for Ivan. They ask his friends and random people about him, but to no avail. Seeing that Ani is shivering, Igor gives her the scarf they gagged her with and tells her to cover her neck. When employees from a couple of clubs tell them that an excessively drunk Ivan was there a few minutes ago, Igor guesses that Ivan is on a bender. Ivan returns to HQ and Diamond seduces him. Lulu informs Ani, and when Ani informs the group that Ivan is at HQ, which is 45 minutes away, Toros tells Ani to ask Lulu to prevent Ivan from leaving at all costs. When the group arrives at HQ, they find Diamond on top of Ivan in the VIP poke room. After demanding that Diamond get off him, Ani attempts to talk to Ivan, but he is so drunk that he is incapable of engaging in a conversation. Toros drags Ivan out of the club, and Ani engages in a catfight with Diamond, who tells her that she's right that the marriage will end quickly. Diamond should shut up because her breath stank even during Christmas when there's peppermint-flavored shit everywhere. The next morning when Nikolai's lawyer, Michael Sharnov, presents their case to a judge, saying the union took place under duress, Ani interrupts him and tells the judge that Ivan is intoxicated and that they got married legally in Las Vegas, Nevada, which Toros and Michael didn't know. Because of this, Michael tells Toros that they can only get the marriage annulled in Nevada. Following the chaos, the judge throws them out of court. This some Russian ratchet shit. The stressed Toros tells Ivan and Ani that they have to tell the Zakharovs that they flew to Vegas without his permission. Ani tells Ivan that he's an adult and can make a decision for himself, but Ivan says he needs to talk to his parents, so she agrees to talk to them. At the airport, the nervous Toros greets the Zakharovs and informs them about the situation. Galina hugs Ivan but reprimands him for making their family a national disgrace, and when Ani introduces herself to her in Russian and asks that they accept that she and Ivan are in love, Galina shuts her ass down. On their way to board their private plane to fly to Vegas, Ani demands Ivan, who had conceded to his parents, to be a man and stand up for them, but Ivan tells her that it's over and they have to do what they're told, hurting her. Adding insult to injury, Ivan thanks her for making his last trip to America fun. Galina demands that Annie board the plane because they both have to be present for the annulment. But Annie tells her that she's going to get a lawyer and take half of Ivan's wealth because she didn't sign a prenup. With a smile on her face, Galina threatens to destroy her life, forcing Ani to comply. Honestly, Ani should have just hopped on the foine-ass, receding hairline daddy Igor because at least he's nice. Aboard the plane, Nikolai tells Ivan that he'll start working in their company the following week. Galina expresses her extreme disappointment because Ivan was sent there to study, but he had besmirched the good name of his family. Ivan fights back, saying spending a week with an escort is not a big deal, which hurts and infuriates Ani even more. Igor gives Ani a drink to comfort her. Girl, that your new man's now. They arrive in Vegas, and after the papers are signed, Igor politely suggests that Ivan apologize to Ani, prompting Toros to immediately tell the Zakharovs that Igor is tired and has drank on an empty stomach en route to not anger them. Galina firmly tells Igor that Ivan will not apologize to anyone, prompting Ani to say that Ivan won't apologize because he's weak and a coward. When Galina calls her a disgusting hooker, Ani says Ivan hates her so much that he married one to piss her off. Shortly after, Toros tells Ani that Igor will accompany her back to Brooklyn, that she can stay at the mansion for the night, during which she must pack up her belongings, and that she will get paid when the bank opens. He also thanks her for cooperating. In the plane, Igor covers the sleeping Ani so she won't get cold. In the Zakharov mansion, Igor shares with Ani that he turned 30 the day before. When Igor says he supports her, she argues that he assaulted her, to which he says he just tied her up so she'd calm down and wouldn't hurt herself. When Ani adds that he would have forced himself on her if Garnick wasn't there, a confused Igor says he never thought of doing such a heinous thing and asks why he would. When she asks why not, he tells her that he's not that kind of person. See this? The love story we needed. The next morning, Igor gives Ani the money Toros promised her and drives her home. Before she exits the car, he returns the ring Ivan gave her and tells her not to tell Toros, making her speechless. He even drops off her bags for her. Ani initiates bumping and grinding with Igor in the car, and he doesn't say a word. When he leans in to kiss her, she pulls away, slaps him, and starts crying. He hugs her and she breaks down sobbing in his arms. Ani couldn't understand that a man can be such a good person because all her life she was treated so poorly by men, especially in her line of work. Her relationships were always transactional, so when a man like Igor comes along, it broke her, especially during her roller coaster time with Ivan. A sad story for Ani, but possibly a good one if she developed something more with Igor. What did you guys think of this movie? Were you guys amazed with Mikey Madison's acting?
Subscribe to watch more videos like this. Turn on notifications. And leave a like, it really helps the channel out. Thank you for watching.